Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into the weeds on power, specifically through the lens of Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power.
Right. It's a fascinating book. It really pulls together ideas from way back. Think Machiavelli, Sun Tzu, and uses all these historical examples to illustrate them.
Yeah, and in the aim, really, is to unpack how the book sees power working. How people get it, how they hold on to it, and maybe how you can spot it when it's being used.
And it's definitely stirred things up. It's got this reputation, hasn't it? Some people find it pretty cynical, even amoral.
Totally. I've heard it called like a how-to manual on how to be a manipulative, well.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently it's popular with a really wide range of people, which says something, but then you have the counter argument.
Right, that it's not telling you to be manipulative, it's just describing how things are sometimes. Like, these are the dynamics, understand them so you can navigate them, or maybe even protect yourself.
Precisely. And that's kind of our approach today. We're not here to say if these laws are good or bad.
No ethical stance from us.
Our mission is just to explore some key laws based on the source material we've looked at. We want to understand the principles behind them, look at the different perspectives,
Okay.
and pull out maybe some useful insights or just surprising facts that help you, the listener, make sense of power dynamics you might see day to day.
Okay, so where should we start? Law 6.
Yeah, let's do it. Law 6. Court attention at all costs. The core idea here seems pretty straightforward. Visibility is power.
hmm If people notice you, you gain influence. If you're invisible, well, you're kind of irrelevant, according to Green.
So it's about making sure you're on the radar.
And the sources suggest different ways to do that, like stand out with your ideas, your achievements.
Or even just your style, right? How you present yourself. It's about creating that distinct presence.
Definitely. But it links back to Law 5, which we're not diving deep into, but it's about reputation.
Ah, right. Because what kind of attention you get matters hugely. You don't want negative attention. Exactly. It's got to be ideally positive or at least intriguing attention. Which brings us to Mata Hari. That's a classic example used for this law.
Oh, yeah, she's fascinating. So she wasn't actually named Mata Hari originally.
No, not at all. She was born Margaret the Zell, Dutch, actually. But she completely reinvented herself, created this whole
Now
persona.
she's this exotic oriental dancer,
Yeah,
very mysterious.
totally. And she kept changing her backstory, made her seem even more enigmatic, claimed connections to ancient Eastern secrets, that sort of thing.
And people bought it.
Hook, line, and sinker. Parisian society was obsessed. Apparently, people talked about her constantly, even if they hadn't actually seen her dance.
Wow. So the mystery itself was the draw.
Absolutely. It opened doors, got her into powerful circles, she made a lot of money, all because she commanded attention. It wasn't necessarily about dance talent, more the spectacle, the enigma.
Until it all came crashing down, of course.
Right. The whole spy thing during World War I, her execution, the
Right.
truth came out then. But her rise, pure Law 6 in action. She mastered courting attention.
Okay, let's shift gears. Law 9. Win through your actions, not argument.
This one feels very practical. Basically, actions speak louder than words.
Especially if people are skeptical, maybe. Like, arguing isn't going to convince them, but showing them.
Exactly. Demonstrate your point, show your capabilities, let the results do the talking instead of getting bogged down in debates. Concrete outcomes are just more persuasive.
Makes sense. Actions have weight.
Okay, next up, Law 10, infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. This one sounds a bit harsh on the surface.
Yeah, infection is a strong word. The idea is that negativity is contagious, like a disease.
Sort of, yeah. That persistently unhappy people or those who seem constantly dogged by bad luck can actually drag you down too. Their mood, their misfortune, it can rub off.
So the advice is, keep your distance.
Essentially, yes. Maintain some emotional distance for self-preservation, and instead try to associate with positive, successful, competent people.
The book frames it as strategic, not heartless, right? It's about protecting your own energy and focus.
That seems to be the angle, yeah. Not a lack of empathy, but managing your environment. You can see how this might apply professionally.
Like choosing your team carefully, partnering with people who have a good attitude, who are capable.
Precisely, avoiding those energy vampires, yeah.
Got it. Okay, now, Law 11. Learn to keep people dependent on you. This feels like a classic power play.
It really does. It's all about making yourself indispensable.
If you're the only one who can do something, or provide something that someone needs,
Or you have leverage, you have value, they need you.
the sources mention consultants with super niche skills as an example. if nobody else has that expertise.
Yeah, they become essential. But the historical example here is really powerful. Bismarck.
Ah, Bismarck and the Prussian kings. Right. So King Frederick William the Fair wasn't his biggest fan initially.
Not at all. But Bismarck was clever. The king was going through a rough patch, feeling weak and insecure. Bismarck stepped in, supported him, kind of propped him up.
Making himself crucial to the king's stability and power.
Exactly. He cultivated that dependence. And he did something similar later with King William, who also wasn't keen on him at first.
But William ended up relying on him too.
Hugely. Despite disagreements, the king often needed Bismarck's strength and political maneuvering. He became prime minister, wielded enormous influence, all because he'd made himself indispensable to the crown.
That's a masterclass independence, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, how about Law 12? Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. This one feels sneaky.
It's definitely counterintuitive, using honesty, but selectively, as a tool.
So, like, a surprise act of kindness or truthfulness can make someone lower their guard, build false trust.
That's the idea. It's unexpected, so it throws people off balance. The sources give a minor example, like a salesperson throwing in a small extra for free.
Right, makes you feel good, maybe trust them more. But the big story here is Count Lustig and Al Capone.
Oh, this is brilliant. So Lustig, this infamous con man, goes to Capone, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Tough Guy, super suspicious.
Yeah, not someone you'd expect to fool easily.
Lustig takes $50,000 from him, promising to double it in 2 months, which, of course, sounds like a scam.
What happened?
Lustig just holds on to the money, does nothing with it. Then, after 2 months, he goes back to Capone.
And gives it back.
Exactly. Gives the full $50,000 back, apologizing profusely, saying he failed.
Whoa. What did Capone do?
Capone was apparently floored. This guy comes back, admits failure, returns the entire sum. It was so unexpected, so seemingly honest.
That it completely disarmed him, even though he probably still suspected Lustig was shady.
Right, and Capone was so, I don't know, impressed or disarmed by this honesty that he actually gave Lustig $5,000.
No way. So Lustig's real con was returning the money to get a smaller payout.
That was the move.
Hmm.
Using selective honesty against one of the most cynical guys around, it shows how powerful that unexpected gesture can be.
Wild. Okay, briefly. Law 37. Create compelling spectacles. This sounds like showmanship.
Pretty much. Using visuals, grand gestures, symbolism, anything to capture attention and create a sense of awe or importance.
Like those big Apple product launches.
Perfect example. They don't just announce a phone, they create an event. It's theater, it builds buzz, makes the product seem more significant. It's pure spectacle.
Gotcha. So, stepping back and looking at the bigger picture, the book is obviously all about power.
Undeniably, its influence in, well, almost every area of life. That's the central theme.
And we touched on the ethics. It's controversial. Some sources point out Green talks about power like it's a game.
Which can feel like it downplays the real-world consequences for people, right? That's a major part of the criticism.
Yeah, and you see that debate playing out online too, like on Reddit threads about the book. Is it just observing reality, or is it actually teaching manipulation?
It's that core tension. But whatever your take, the sources agree that understanding these dynamics requires strategic thinking.
Keen observation, reading people, planning your moves.
Exactly. And that idea of subtlety keeps coming up, doesn't it? The velvet glove thing.
Right, the iron hand inside the velvet glove.
Yeah.
Power often works best when it's not obvious, maybe even disguised.
So yeah, the book really frames power as this sort of strategic game you need to learn the rules for.
Okay, so wrapping up. The 48 Laws of Power gives this really provocative, maybe uncomfortable look at how power operates. It uses history to make its case.
And whether you agree with the laws, disagree, or find them morally questionable, understanding them can definitely give you insights.
Insights into things you see at work, in your personal life, just out in the world. You might start noticing these dynamics more.
Which leads us to a final thought for you, the listener. Thinking about the laws, we discussed things like attention, dependence, spectacle, selective honesty.
Where might you be seeing these principles play out? Maybe in subtle ways in your own life or the world around you.
And does actually recognizing them potentially change how you perceive those situations? Where's that line between just being aware of the game and actually playing it manipulatively?
That's definitely something to chew on. Food for thought. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.